Chat. Yo, what's up, chat? Chat, is this real? What's up? What's up? Let me know when you guys can see me. And can you hear the music? The music's really quiet. At least on my end. Yo, yo, yo. What's up, guys? I bet you didn't think there was a goddamn Nvidia presentation today. Or at least it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like it. We got it. We gotta cover this. Yeah, I'm just here to jump scare you guys, but not as much as your wallets will be jump scared from the 5060, it sounds like. Big up from Youngstown. What's up, Jonah? What's up, meat? Okay. Poop. Alright. I feel like we gotta get right into it. I ain't gonna lie. Hey. I've waited a month. I've went to the 7600 XT, but it's gonna take a month to get here and no other options. There literally is no other options. That's what's atrocious right now. So, alright, let's look through some stuff, because if you guys weren't aware, a whole lot of shit actually happened today. Nuts. As you can see up in the top left corner, we got the timer for the Nvidia event. So, what is Computex 2025 about? I have a pretty big feeling it's going to be about AI with a little bit of gaming on the side. Oh my god, getting donos. Cameron, K2, give me $1, I'm sick. You can keep your $2 up. Kyo disaster. Here's some love, Vex. Sorry it's not more. Give you some. Dude, don't worry about it, bro. We actually, and there's a lot to cover with it, but there is a little bit of something I wanted to present to you guys today. Obviously, the 5060 situation has been weird. Right now, if you look on the GPU market, so you guys won't be able to see this as well because my freaking face cam is in the way, but here is like options. 4060s are basically becoming sold out at this point. There's what, a 7600? They're sold out at this point. There's basically no other budget graphics cards right now, so what we're working with is this like drought. So the 5060 has to kind of do well. So do you think we'll ever see a 10 series ever again? No, I think it's over, guys. I ain't gonna lie, unless it's from a different company than Nvidia. That's what I'm thinking. So yes, also, you guys might yell at me in chat that Nvidia is already streaming. They are not streaming. This is like some kind of pre-game. Like, who the hell do you think you are? You're not the NFL. Like, I don't get it. But they're not live. They don't start until 11 o'clock. And the reason why this stream, I don't know where you guys are at, but the reason why this stream is so goddamn late is because they're on Taipei time, or Taiwan time. So it's like 11 o'clock a.m. there, but it'll be 11 p.m. where I'm at. We're 12-hour difference. So pre-stream to the pre-stream. Yeah, there'll probably be a pre-stream as well when this is over. So as you guys may not be aware, Computex is happening this week, and that is like important for the context of a lot of the different situations going on with the 5060. But it seems like Nvidia is going to at least talk about the 5060 at this event, because it literally comes out tomorrow. So here is the 5060 release date. It comes out May 19th. That is tomorrow, right? Yeah, today's the 18th. So literally during this stream, it's probably going to have launched if it is a midnight release or something like that. So that's kind of weird. So Computex is taking place the exact same time that the 5060 is releasing. Wesley just became a member. Thanks, bro. Enjoy it. I am thinking about doing more for members, but I'm not there yet. Vex, do you think the 5060 is gonna sell, and can find it at MSRP? I don't think it'll be at MSRP, but I also don't think it's gonna be selling that well either. But I think we'll go over this. So one of the things that annoys me about Nvidia's marketing. So this is their whole website for the 5060 and the 5060 Ti. Obviously the 5060 Ti is already out right now, but they have this, and like every company does this, but it's like they just take the best parts of reviews and they just said, oh, Gaming Trend said excellent. That means the 5060 is excellent. Like I don't see any other option. Yo, thanks Terrace. Keep up the good work, Vex. Thanks for the 5, bro. It's just, yeah, it's excellent. It's excellent. 5060 is perfect for multiplayer shooters. Well, at least it's good for something. I can probably find a 5060 for $300 where I live. Should I get it? Well, we'll see tomorrow. Just wait. Actually, maybe a few more days for reviews and stuff. But they'll just show you that it's excellent on the website. And when you scroll down, obviously the 5060 Ti has already come out. We've already seen these things, but they have all of the freaking numbers down here. So here's the 5060 Ti and the 5060. And as you can see, they're comparing the 5060 to a 4060, 3060, and 2060, which seems reasonable, like you're comparing generation on generation. But they only give us one title where they're not using multi-frame generation. As you guys know, like multi-frame generation, they say it down here. It pretty much will like at least triple your frame rate. They say 4 times, but it artificially does 4 times the frame rate or something. And those aren't really real frames, and then they only give us one title here where they're actually comparing the head-to-heads without multi-frame generation, saying it's 5.6 times faster than the other graphics cards, which is just insane. So yeah, and as you guys know, if you generate frames, there's some issues with how do the frames look. Like, are these going to be artifacty, broken looking frames? And if we have time, I'm gonna hop into Doom the Dark Ages and we'll take a look at it a little bit, but we'll see on that part. But like, it could have artifacts. And then also, when you go ahead and you take like 2 real frames from the game and you're inserting a frame in between them, then you're gonna get added latency because you're waiting on one of the frames that the game wants to show you. So you're pretty much gonna increase latency no matter what. So that's not really great either. So these aren't really equivalent to real frame rate, obviously, but we've been over this a bajillion times. What about the new controversy that's been happening with the 5060? Because Nvidia is so aware that this graphics card is lame. I can't recommend if you buy the 5060, don't ask me that. Anybody in chat is like, should I buy the 5060? I don't know. We would have normally known if you should buy this graphics card by now, because it comes out tomorrow. Usually reviews would go up a day before the launch of the graphics card so you can make an educated buying decision. But that's not what we're seeing anymore. So Hardware Unboxed has talked about this. Chat is kind of covering it up. Should I move chat a bit? Chat go up there, maybe. But Hardware Unboxed talked about this. Nvidia is trying to hide the 5060 8GB. Linus Tech Tips talked about this, and I think it'd be nice to listen to this one.
Nvidia is allegedly, I'm going to throw in an allegedly there, even though I totally believe all of this. Allegedly, I believe it. After Nvidia withheld the 8GB variant of the 5060 Ti, which led to delayed coverage, and this is my personal theory, although I think a lot of other folks agree with me, delayed coverage as a strategy to bury any reviews of it so that people searching for this card would only find search optimized coverage of the 16GB variant. Nvidia has struck again with the RTX 5060. TechSpot, Hardware Unboxed, Hardware Lux, and many more. Does many more include LTT Labs?
Many more, yeah.
Have confirmed that they are not receiving drivers for the RTX 5060 until its launch date, May 19th.
So yeah, basically, there's no drivers for the graphics card. Again, I made a video about this. Like, I can confirm this. You go on the Nvidia Press website where they actually distribute like drivers and stuff. They don't have this out there at all. In fact, they don't have any information on the 5060 whatsoever. So it's basically just like Nvidia doesn't care about getting this out to reviewers. It is a 60 class graphics card, which if you look on the Steam hardware survey is some of the most popular graphics cards to exist. Like these usually are the ones that people are looking at. And Nvidia is like, we don't care about it, or we're going to intentionally hide it from reviewers. And if you aren't aware too, if you don't have a driver for the graphics card, you literally can't test it properly. Which I actually saw some comments here that I thought was pretty funny, where it was just like, why don't reviewers just release videos without drivers? And Linus should make one and act like nothing's wrong besides the performance. Well, you can see the FPS is not what we're hoping for this generation. He points to a black screen. I think we should do this. We should test it without drivers. It's what Nvidia intended the entire time. I don't see the problem with this. What do you guys think about that? Oh man. But what's funny though is like, so basically they don't give you drivers. You can't test the card at all. It just, you might be able to get it to display out. Sometimes you can't even do that. It kind of depends. And it's not going to work properly whatsoever. Yeah, and the drivers suck too. There's been so many driver issues with Nvidia lately that, yeah, it hasn't really been that great. So this has been the first controversy that's come up with the 5060. Like, it feels like Nvidia is straight up trying to hide it, which wouldn't surprise me. Okay. And then there's also this, which just came out today. Hardware Unboxed made a video on this. You might have seen this, where they said don't buy the 5060. But what this whole video is about is there's actually a ton of people that instead of reviewers, like independent testing reviewers, that would normally be getting a 5060 to review it properly, to review it unbiasedly and from their own angle. Instead of that, Nvidia signed deals with a bunch of different review outlets, and then they made basically negotiations on what they can test and what they can't test, which obviously Nvidia is going to control that to make their graphics card look as good as possible, and they might even be looking at these reviews before they go live. This might be so extremely scummy. This is out there. It is the most anti-consumer thing I've seen. Now, like, they're not like, it's not like they've never done this before, but yeah, not great. Okay. And basically, from what we've seen, also what you're looking at, this right here, this is a 5060. That's a real graphics card showing there. Okay. It seems like what the reviewers could look at under Nvidia's guidance is they could only test 3 graphics cards. Okay. So let me zoom in a bit more here. They can only test 3 graphics cards, the 5060 obviously, the 3060, and the 2060 Super. And they can only test Avowed, Doom the Dark Ages, Marvel Rivals, Cyberpunk, and Hogwarts Legacy. All of these games have access to all of Nvidia's technology, by the way. I know, crazy thing. And a lot of these games also perform better on Nvidia, except I think Cyberpunk doesn't perform better on Nvidia. But they couldn't compare it to AMD GPUs or Intel GPUs anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Crazy Nvidia chose to do this. Never would have saw this coming. And the settings that they could only use, this alien thing is like throwing me off over here. Okay. This is all they could use. So 1080p, which is crazy. Ultra settings, which is interesting, I guess. But then they could have to upscale at 1080p. And with Nvidia's new technology, their DLSS 4 technology with the upgraded upscaling and stuff. So this is upscaling from 720p to 1080p. And in my opinion, I actually think this looks pretty good most of the time. But at the same time, it hasn't been really recommended to upscale at 1080p. And we're entering a phase where budget graphics cards can't even play at 1080p. We're going backwards. We're going backwards. Straight up. Insane. This isn't anything new. Like, we've seen this on Nvidia's stuff. Like, their own marketing pits the 5060 up here. and it is at 1080p max setting. So this is basically what Nvidia is telling reviewers to do, or signing with them to do it, is that they have to test exactly how Nvidia tests, pretty much. And they pretty much have to show it with multi-frame generation. They also have to turn on ray tracing, ray reconstruction, and path tracing, which I think on a budget graphics card like the 5060, you wouldn't even really be using these features for that. But obviously Nvidia is just using all this shit just to show off their technologies. And at the same time, what's interesting too, is none of the reviewers that they sign these deals with were able to actually show videos of the graphics card running. Think about that. So you couldn't say like what the quality was. You couldn't show that. So every single outlet that's been able to show off a 5060 a day ahead of launch, obviously skewing towards Nvidia's favor. Well, they first off haven't been that popular, I'm not gonna lie. No offense, but 0 comments isn't really looking that great. Okay. But there is this. They can't show any footage of it running. So you scroll down the entire webpage, whole lot of nothing. It's just screenshots that were already provided. Actually, you know what's funny? If you go to the Nvidia press website and their press materials, I'm pretty sure these are already distributed screenshots of whatever the hell they're trying to promote. It's like these are approved screenshots and they're just resharing them. Crazy. Crazy. Now, this doesn't exactly mean that a lot of the reviewers were like super like favorable towards Nvidia. Like they were still a little bit critical, not amazing, but they were working within their limits. Like I think this is generally speaking a pretty bad practice. Like if you're a reviewer, you pretty much should never take anything that would be skewing the way that you look at a product, unless you're very, very desperate. So, Bex, do you think it will still sell? I think it'll still sell. I mean, the 4060 sold too. You know, what's up the other side? Yeah. So, the graphics card here, not looking great. Now, they were a little bit critical, so this is the conclusion, basically, on Tech Radar. And they said, still at the asking price, the 5060 is a definite improvement over the RTX 4060, thanks in no small part by the introduction of multi-frame generation. And while that will only be reliably helping your performance in supported games, more and more devs are using multi-frame generation in their titles. And the thing, one of the big problems about the 5060 is the 8 gigabytes of VRAM on the graphics card. Okay? So back in 2021, I think, when the 3060 came out, that was a 12 gigabyte graphics card back then. Okay. And then the 4060 took a downgrade in 2023 when that graphics card came out. And now in 2025, we're still sticking with that 8 gigabyte VRAM capacity. All right. And that basically means that a lot of games are pushing 8 gigabytes of VRAM. And honestly, unless you're just using this for esports or something, I wouldn't recommend getting one, because you're going to be tinkering with settings just to get games to run. Whereas back in the day, like, you buy a 60 class card and you'd be able to play at like high to ultra settings at 1080p like just fine. So this is a different like precedent of what's being set for a 60 class card. Okay. But yeah, some of these outlets are pretty critical. I saw one in here. Was it in this one? Maybe it's in a different article. I'm not seeing that much on it right now. 5060 is DOA. That's dead on arrival. Yeah, that one. I would actually kind of agree with that. So on Tom's Guide is another site that's posted some stuff about this. They have the 5060. What's weird is none of the pictures are being taken of the 5060 are actually from the outlets. They're like a picture taken from somebody else. I don't know where this came from, to be honest. But there was some stuff. They say here that right on the top of the review, even though this is, I would say, a pretty scummy process, like you shouldn't really take these deals from reviewers, but Nvidia will probably always find some reviewers that would cave to this. So on Tom's guide, they do say, spoiler alert, when tested, that they had to basically test under Nvidia scenarios, the games live up to, oh wait, this is actually, I thought they were warning us. Wow, did they get paid? I read this earlier and it like kind of like half read it, and I thought Tom's guide was saying that this was by Nvidia's rules and that you shouldn't think about this. This isn't like a final review. They might have got paid. Sometimes they don't disclose this kind of stuff. Now, I'm not going to like say that for sure, like I don't really know, but that it's a little iffy. So basically what they said is that if you use Nvidia's settings, then it plays great and it runs great. We played 5 titles. We were forced to only play these 5 titles. Yep. Where is that? I don't see anything about we have to use the 5 titles on this one. But basically they do have some performance here. So they said that they saw frame rates during gameplay maintained over 200 FPS with multi-frame generation. So basically this doesn't really tell us anything about the 5060's actual performance, but with ×4 frame generation on, it was getting over 200 FPS. Cool. In Cyberpunk, according to them, they said Cyberpunk doesn't show the actual frame rate with multi-frame generation, so they had to test with multi-frame generation. What they were seeing in the benchmark, which this is actually the true performance of what settings they're on, I'm not 100% sure. They don't actually tell us, which is weird. I think this is RT Overdrive. So this would be RT Overdrive, I think, at 1080p. And they said that the 5060 was only getting 35 FPS. Not great. What was the latency timing? We don't know. They won't tell us that. So 35 FPS, not really a good look. This is far cry from the claims of 149 FPS. Eyeballing the gameplay. Basically, what they're saying here, and we can take a look at this very quickly in just a second, but when you use multi-frame generation, you don't get the real readout of the frame rate. Off to bed, take care. Night, bro. It's late. It's late. It's rough. Even the paid reviewers are barbecuing them, yeah. It's not amazing. So, there's also this, and they basically were advertising the DLSS upscaling tech, and that's the thing. This is what gets me upset about 50 series, is there actually is some good parts that are completely masked away by anything that Nvidia like forces to be put out there. Because honestly, DLSS 4 like upscaling, very good. I'm very happy with it. I think it looks really good. I don't know if you guys have tried it. I don't know if you guys are on an Nvidia graphics card. You don't need to be on a 50 series card to try the new upscaling. It looks good. Looks good. And usually you still have the option to use the old version if you like. There's a slight performance hit. Depends on the game, depends on the graphics card you have, but yeah. Is this 5060 faster than the 3070 yet? I'm actually not sure. The live stream is starting now. Let's go ahead and take a looky at that. No, I don't think it is. Is it? Wait, hold up. This is the actual stream.
协助我们达到最佳状态，还将现实带入虚拟世界。
This is very loud. I feel like this
他们
might be
助
really
我们
loud.
精进技能。
有瑕疵的电路板在右边，需要我帮你拿去修理吗？好的。
Okay, so this is starting. I wish I could have started my stream early because I wanted to talk about it, but
教会机器人如何行动。
we're gonna see if Nvidia talks about the 5060 at all in this presentation because we don't really know. Yeah.
并让美好生活触手可及。
Remember, this is in a... I don't know how much you guys can hear this. Let me know on the... I have it quiet for you guys right
让
now.
我们携手并进，
This is in Taiwan, which I
勇敢探索人类
think...
未曾
Actually, I
想
don't know what language they speak. Do they speak Mandarin there? Oh yeah, we need to do the AI counter. There we go. AI counter.
这一切
You speak Mandarin? Yeah, okay.
都从这里开始。
We got the AI counter. But basically, Nvidia has done literally everything they possibly can to obscure this launch. Okay? Even going as far to giving reviewers early access under certain conditions. Okay, but let's jump into it. Here's Nvidia
Welcome to the
presentation.
stage, Nvidia founder and CEO, Jensen Huang.
Let me know on the audio. There he is, the man himself.
Hello, Taiwan! 大家好吗? It's great to be here. My parents are also in the audience. 我爸妈妈来，他们在哪里? They're up there.
Sick. You guys think his parents are
Nvidia
AI?
has been coming to Taiwan for over 30 years. This is the home of many of our treasured partners and dear friends. Over the years, you have seen Nvidia grow up and seen us accomplish many exciting things and have been partnered with me all along the way. Today, we're going to talk about where we are in the industry, where we're going to go, announce some new products, exciting new products and surprising products that open new markets for us, creates new markets, new growth. We're going to talk about great partners and how we're going to develop this ecosystem together. As you know, we are at the epicenter of the computer ecosystem,
I might be
one of the
doing
most
something, guys.
important industries of the world. And so it stands to reason when new markets has to be created, we have to create it starting here at the center of the computer ecosystem. And I have some surprises for you. Things that you probably wouldn't have guessed.
There's a poll in chat.
And then, of course, I promise I'll talk about AI.
Oh shit, that's the first AI.
And we'll talk about robotics. The NVIDIA story
AI counter working?
is the reinvention of the computer industry. In fact, the NVIDIA story is also the reinvention of our company.
AI counter.
As I said, I've been coming here for 30 years. Many of you have been through many of my keynotes. Some of you, all of them.
I gotta get it working.
And just as you reflect on the conversation, the things we talked about in the last 30 years, how dramatically changed. We started out as a chip company with a goal of creating a new computing platform. And in 2006, we introduced CUDA, which has revolutionized how computing is done. In 2016, 10 years later,
My AI
we
counter.
realized that a new computing approach has arrived. And this new
Wait, it's
computing
just not
approach
working. Fuck.
requires a reinvention of
You
every
guys are saying
single
$10,000
layer of
for
the
jacket.
technology stack.
Last time it was
The
$8,000.
processor is new. The software stack is new. It stands to reason the system is new.
Bro, upgrade.
And so we invented a new system that on the day I announced it
I even
at
checked this
GTC
counter earlier and it was
2006,
working, and now it's not working.
no one understood what I was talking about,
damn it.
and nobody gave me a PO. That system was called DGX-1. DGX-1, I donated the first one to a nonprofit company called OpenAI. And it
Yeah, he's talking
started
about OpenAI again.
the AI revolution.
God damn. That's like 4 AIs.
Years later, we
I'm missing
realized
so many AIs.
that in fact, this new way of doing software, which is now called artificial intelligence, is unlike traditional
What's even
ways
broken?
of running software. Whereas many applications ran on a few processors in a large data center, we call that hyperscale. This new type of application requires many processors working together, serving queries for millions of people. And that data center would be architected fundamentally different.
Hey,
We realized there were two types of
okay,
networks.
I got it working.
One for north-south, because you still have to
All
control
right.
the storage, you
We're
still
in.
have to have a control plane, you still have to connect to the outside.
Is that 4?
But the most important network was going to be east-west. The computers talking to each other to try to solve a problem.
Is the jacket upscaled?
We
Honestly, it looks a
recognized
little low res.
the best networking company in east-west traffic,
This just
for
started streaming at
high-performance
240
computing,
frame rate because it just did times
large-scale
4.
distributed processing. A company that was very dear to our company and very close to our heart, a company called Mellanox, and we bought them 5 years ago, 2019. We converted an entire data center into one computing unit. And you heard me say before, the modern computer is an
You guys
entire
ready for
data
the
center.
Yap Fest?
The data center is a unit of computing. No longer just a PC, no longer just a server.
So basically what the
entire
hope
data
is
center
that he will talk about the
is running one
5060
job.
for at
And
least
the
10
operating
seconds.
system would change.
10
NVIDIA's
seconds at
data
least.
center journey is now very well known. Over the last 3 years, you've seen some of the ideas that we're shaping and how we are starting to see our company differently. No company in history, surely no technology company in history, has ever revealed a roadmap for 5 years at a time.
Nobody's ever done that before.
No one would tell you what is coming next. They keep it as a secret, extremely confidential. However,
Does
we
Nvidia actually
realized
know what they're doing in 5 years?
that NVIDIA is not a technology company only anymore. In fact, we are an essential infrastructure company.
Big water.
And how can you plan your infrastructure, your land, your shell, your power, your electricity, all of the necessary financing around all over the world? How would
They
you
can make them a
possibly
little
do
bit
that
louder, by the way.
if you didn't understand what I was going to make? And so we described our company's roadmap in fair detail, enough detail that everybody in the world can go off and start building data centers. We realize now we are an AI infrastructure company,
How does that sound, guys?
an infrastructure company that's essential all around the world. Every region, every industry, every company
You
will
say
build
AI.
these infrastructures. And what are these infrastructure?
5? Go.
These infrastructure, in fact, not unlike the first industrial revolution, when people realized, GE, Westinghouse, Siemens, realized that there was a new type of technology called electricity.
Siemens.
And new infrastructure has to be built all around the world. And these
What do you think they
infrastructure
make,
became
guys?
essential part of social infrastructure. That infrastructure is now called electricity. Years later, this is during all of our generation, we realized there was a new type of infrastructure. And this new infrastructure was very conceptual, very hard to understand. And this infrastructure called information.
Unironically, Siemens is actually a really cool company.
This information infrastructure,
Sus-ass name.
the first time it was described, made no sense to anybody. But we now realized it is the internet. And every internet is everywhere. And everything is connected to it. Well, there's a new infrastructure now. This new infrastructure is built on top of the first two. And this new infrastructure is an infrastructure of
Interesting
intelligence.
is Jensen doesn't.
I know that right now, when we say there's an intelligence infrastructure, it makes no sense. But I promise you, in 10 years' time, you will look back and you will realize that AI has now integrated into everything. And in fact, we need AI everywhere. And every region, every industry, every country, every company, all needs AI. AI has now part of infrastructure. And this infrastructure, just like the internet, just like electricity, needs factories. And these factories are essentially what we build today. They're not data centers of the past, a $1 trillion industry providing information and storage.
I don't know how he's going to
supporting all of our ERP systems and our employees. That's a data center. Damn. A data center of the past.
Oh, this is one on screen too.
Similar in the sense that it came from the same industry. It came from all of us. But it's going to emerge as something completely different. Completely separated from the world's data center. And these AI data centers, if you will, are improperly described. They are, in fact, AI factories. You apply energy to it,
guys,
and it produces something incredibly
AIs
valuable. And these things are called tokens. To the point where companies are starting to talk about how many tokens they produced last quarter and how many tokens they produced last month.
It went off screen.
Very soon.
My counter went off screen.
We'll be talking about how many tokens we produce every hour, just as every single factory does. And so the world has fundamentally changed. We went from a company, on the day that we started our company, I was trying to figure out how big our opportunity was in 1993. And I came to the conclusion,
look at that.
Nvidia's business opportunity was enormous. $300 million. We're going to be rich. $300 million chip industry to a data center opportunity that represents about $1 trillion to now an AI factory, an AI infrastructure industry that will be measured in trillions of dollars. And this is the exciting future that we're undertaking. Now, at its core, everything we do is founded on several important technologies. Of course, I talk about accelerated computing a great deal. I talk about AI a great deal. What makes NVIDIA really special
he talks about AI?
Is the fusion of these capabilities. And very especially, the algorithms, the libraries, what we call the Computex libraries. We're talking about libraries all the time. And in fact, we're the only technology company in the world that talks about libraries nonstop. And the reason for that is because libraries is at the core of everything that we do. Libraries is what started it all. And I'm going to show you a few new ones today. But before I do that, let me show you a preview of what I'm going to tell you today. Everything you're about to see is simulation, science, and artificial intelligence. Nothing you see here
I'm getting
is
a
art.
feeling we might not
It's
talk
all
about
simulation.
the 5060.
It just happens to be beautiful. Let's take a look.
Did you say AI again? I think you did. That looks bad. Wait, what is up with the anti-aliasing on this video? Everything looks like shaky. I don't know if you guys can see because it's a 1080p stream. It's like... that shit's definitely AI. Dude, we've seen this. Dude, they forgot about physics. What are they talking about? I said, fuck that shit. Damn. I think we've seen this before. Oh my god, that was Siemens. Do you guys see any AIs in here? Let me know. Oh, there's an AI. Oh, that's that physics stuff, huh? That's some new technology. Some of these are new, I think. I don't like that robot. Remember, there's one thing I want to talk about. Is like, they're trying to train machine learning to be able to observe the entire world and interact with it. Sure, actually 18. Do we see another one? Earth 2? Is this an expansion? Oh, they're actually talking. Oh, there's a little bit of gaming right there. Tiny bit of gaming. Wait, he has a graphics card.
This is real-time computer graphics I'm standing in front of.
Is that a 5060?
This is not a video. This is computer graphics. It's generated by GeForce.
I think that
This is a brand new GeForce 5060.
There it
RTX
is.
5060.
Hey.
And this is from Asus. My good friend Johnny's in the front row. And this is from MSI. And we took this
So they don't hate it that much. Like,
incredible
they still
GPU and we shrunk it in here. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's not the same
This
graphics
is incredible.
card. That's why.
And so this is MSI's new laptop with 5060 in it.
I like how he brought up an Asus
GeForce
card and then brought up an
CUDA
MSI
to the
laptop.
world. Right now, what you're seeing is every single pixel is ray traced. How is that possible that we're able to simulate photon and deliver this kind of frame rate at this resolution? Well, the reason for that is artificial intelligence.
That counts.
We are only rendering 1 out of 10 pixels. So every pixel
doesn't
that
sound
you
good to
see,
me, I'm not gonna
only
lie.
1 out of 10 is actually computed. The other 9,
Sick.
AI guessed. Does that make any sense? And it's perfect.
How does it
It's
do it on a
completely
static,
perfect.
not moving
It
scene?
guessed it perfectly. Of course, the technology is called DLSS, neural rendering. It took us many, many years to develop. We started developing it the moment we started working on AI, so it's been a 10-year journey. And the advance in computer graphics has been completely revolutionized by AI. GeForce brought AI to the world. Now AI
Bro,
came
he's
back
just-
and
he's
revolutionized
just running
GeForce.
back the same
so
shit.
really, really amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, GeForce.
Is that it?
You know, when you're CEO, you have many children.
I missed
And-
like 24.
and
I thought I
GeForce
thought
brought
it was
us
pretty
here.
good there.
And now all of our keynotes is 90% not GeForce. But it's not because we don't love GeForce. GeForce RTX 50 series just had its most successful launch ever, the fastest launch in our history. And PC gaming is now 30 years old. So that tells you something about how incredible GeForce is. Let's talk about libraries. At the core, of course, everything starts with CUDA. And by making CUDA as performant as possible, as pervasive as possible,
How much cope is going on
so
here,
that the
guys?
installed base is
a little
all
bit of
over the
code.
world, then applications can find a CUDA GPU quite easily. The larger the installed base, the more developers want to create libraries. The more libraries, more amazing things are done, better applications, more benefits to users, they buy more computers. The more computers, more CUDA. That feedback path
I think
is
they love
vitally important.
GeForce.
However, accelerated computing
Unironically,
is not
though,
general purpose computing.
Linus was
General
talking
purpose
about this. Like, I
computing, write
really,
software, everybody writes it in, Python or
I'm really wondering if they should split up
and you compile
GeForce,
it.
make it
The
its own company, and then
methodology
split
for
off
general purpose
Nvidia
computing is
and
consistent
Nvidia
throughout.
GeForce.
Write the application,
So
compile the
GeForce can
application,
actually
run it on the CPU.
do its shit.
However, that fundamentally doesn't work
But-
in accelerated computing because if you could do that, it would be called a CPU. What's the point of not just changing the CPU so you could write the software, compile the software, run it on
Sorry,
the CPU?
I'm turning him down because
The
he is
fact
just
that
yapping.
You would have to do something different.
Because the
is
problem
actually
with
quite sensible.
GeForce
And the reason for
is that
because so many people working
like here. The problem with GeForce is that they have to meet their quarterly quotas for Nvidia, and then if they don't make as good of margins on GeForce, then it's going to bring it down. So they need to try to increase their GeForce margins in order to align with the rest of their business, which has been doing extremely well in data center. So, yeah. I have a feeling they don't want to separate it because they're not 100% sure how, like, the longevity of AI in data center. A little bit, if it'd be like a bubble.
Even though it's only 5% of the code, which is quite surprising. Most applications
Also, if they split it off, they'd probably cut off a large amount of their company, and that would maybe be a mess. So,
and so we went after one domain after another. I just showed you computer graphics. We also have numerics. This is CuPy numeric.
Yeah.
This is CuPy is the most pervasive numerical library. Arial and Shona.
AI.
Arial is the world's first GPU accelerated radio signal processing for 5G and 6G. Once we make it software defined, then we can put on top of it AI. So now we could bring AI to 5G and 6G. Parabricks for genomics analysis, Mo9 for medical imaging, Earth 2 for weather prediction, cuQuantum for quantum classical computer architectures and computer systems, cuequivariance and cuTensor, contraction of tensor mathematics, Megatron. This whole row, this whole column here consists of all of our deep learning and all of our libraries necessary for training as well as inference for deep learning. This revolutionized computing. And it all started with all these libraries. Not just CUDA, but cuDNN. On top of cuDNN, there was Megatron. Megatron, then TensorRT-LLM, and then now lately, this brand new operating system for large AI factories, Dynamo. cuDF for data frames like Spark and SQL. Structured data can be accelerated as well. cuML, classical machine learning. Warp, a Pythonic framework for describing CUDA kernels. Incredibly successful.
I don't know what bro's yapping about. Yeah,
mathematical operations, optimizations, things like traveling salesperson, the ability to optimize highly constrained, large number of variables, type of problems like supply chain optimization. This is an incredible success. I'm very excited about cuOpt, cuDSS and cuSparse for sparse structure simulators. Those are used for CAE and CAD, fluid dynamics, finite element analysis, incredibly important for EDAs and CAE industry. And then, of course, cuLitho, one of the most important libraries for computational lithography. Mask making could easily take a month. And that mask making process is extremely computationally intensive. And now with cuLitho, we could accelerate that computation by 50 times, 70 times. As a result, this is going to set the stage, open the world for applying AI to lithography in the future. We have great partners here. TSMC is using cuLitho quite extensively. ASML, Synopsys, excellent partners working with us in cuLitho. So the libraries themselves
is what
makes it possible for us one domain of application after another domain of science, after another domain of physics. I think they really care about GeForce. To be able to accelerate those applications. But it also opens up markets for us. We look at particular regions and particular markets and we say that area could really be important to transform to the new way of doing computing. If general purpose computing, after all these years, has run its course, why hasn't it run its course in every single industry? So one of the most important industries, of course, is telecommunications. Just as the world's cloud data centers have now become software defined, it stands to reason that telecommunication should also be software defined. And so that's the reason why we've taken now some 6 years to refine and optimize a fully accelerated radio access network, RAN stack, that does incredible performance. For data rate per megawatt, or data rate per watt.
I'm really debating, do we watch the whole goddamn thing?
On par.
How long is this supposed to be?
With the state-of-the-art ASICs. And so once we could do that, once we could achieve that level of performance and functionality, then after that we can layer on top AI. So we have great partners here. You could see
I kind of want to count them say AI the whole time, but I don't know if it's worth it.
Nokia, Samsung, Kyocera are working with us on the full stack. Fujitsu and Cisco are working on the systems. And so now we have the ability to introduce
It's an hour?
the idea of AI on 5G or AI on 6G along with AI on computing.
Oh my god.
We're doing that with quantum computing. Quantum computing is still
They're actually
the
developing quantum
noisy,
computing?
intermediate scale quantum
Huh.
called NISQ. However,
I didn't even know
there are
Nvidia was
many,
working
many
on that,
good
to be honest.
applications we could already start to do.
36, I
we're
missed 2
excited about
more.
that. We're working on a quantum classical or quantum GPU computing platform.
Yeah, I kind of want to count his AIs the entire time,
Around the world.
but at the same time,
GPUs could be used for pre-processing and post-processing, for error correction, for control. And so in the future, I predict that all supercomputers will have quantum accelerators.
they're doing this at 11 o'clock at night too.
QPUs connected to it. And so a supercomputer would be a QPU with QPUs and GPUs and some CPUs. And that would be the representation of a modern computer. So working with a lot of great companies in this area. AI.
Oh, there's an AI though.
12 years ago.
I was like looking to see if I could just like skip forward in the video, but no, we're dude. AI. Dude, this is crazy. They need to split off GeForce. There's actually shit to talk about with GeForce, and he's just like, yeah, here's 30 seconds. 100 more AIs. I don't know if he had hit a record on this one. Like, I counted 200 AIs on the last one he did. 200! Well, actually, with the help of you guys. I couldn't keep track of all of them. I needed AI to count the goddamn AIs. Crazy. I'm about to just stop looking at it. I'm not gonna lie. Because I actually have more stuff that we can look at that's way more interesting than what they're trying to show here. Are you AI? Be honest. Dude, if I could have an AI watch this for me, I would. Was it even 10 seconds? I don't even know if it was 10 seconds. Let's look at some other cool stuff, okay? Well, not cool stuff, but stuff, I guess. It's a business conference. Is it? It's Computex. I guess Computex is kind of... It's kind of business. Is it more business related? RVex and AI though. Yeah. Yo, somebody has this off on their other monitor. Let me know if they start talking about the gaming again. I think that could be interesting. But I actually have some stuff I can show you guys now, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. I don't think so, actually. They have some information that's under embargo. It's really a nothing burger, to be honest. I don't think I can technically show it. If I want to play it safe. I'm gonna ask you guys. Let me do a poll really quick. All right, what do you guys think of the Nvidia conference? I'd say it's over now. Watch the Gamers Nexus video. Gamers Nexus does the news for Nvidia now, apparently. What do you mean, dude? This is about AI. What's the problem with the presentation? Why are you guys saying no? W presentation. guys. Bro lost the plot. They need to like have a GeForce conference. It's bad. Okay, apparently Gamers Nexus has a video up about the 5060. Shit, let's watch it. Fuck it. Obviously, you guys knew Gamers Nexus is. But here is the video title. Where is AI these days? I don't know. There's this video. Sub to Gamers Nexus. Y'all know that they're great. I'm gonna hide the AI counter because I don't want it. I don't want to hear it anymore. Crazy. Okay, let's listen to this or watch this. Sorry.
Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang should be getting on stage right about now, and he's going to be talking about something different.
He didn't even
to us.
go in there.
We will be talking about how we feel like Nvidia has been threatening the media with access, or at least us. How it
Can you guys hear him good?
relationships between the press and engineers, and then later uses those to manipulate the media, and how its executives throw its own employees under the bus whenever the press exposes something like this. Jensen will be talking about
Artificial intelligence.
and burying the RTX 5060 launch. For the last 6 months, Nvidia has been pressuring us under threat of access to include MFG, or multi-frame generation,
A little bit louder.
4X on charts alongside devices that don't even support it, even though we've said that it's not a like-for-like comparison and that it would be an unfair misrepresentation and outright lie to even do as much. We've also heard from much smaller
Oh, wait,
media
I
how
haven't turned
Nvidia
down.
has slithered
Oh,
into their
my
DMs
bad.
to offer samples under specific guidelines. At this point, we think
Yeah, I should go
it's
here now.
time to share some of this to protect those smaller outlets, but also make sure consumers are
Did I just
aware
burst your guys'
of
eardrum
what
out?
Nvidia is doing behind the scenes and what we thought was a transparent and open communication with engineering, and what has become something we think is more sinister. And I guess this might destroy the possibility of working with Nvidia at any point in the near future.
By the way, I feel like I should let you guys know what the hell has been happening with me too. I have emailed Nvidia about the 5060 because it's not like this thing hasn't been in the news. They announced it like a month ago now. This GPU isn't like new shit or anything. I emailed them, never got a response. Never got a response. So, cool. So obviously I didn't get sent one. Now, I have talked to Asus, and apparently Asus might send me a 5060. I don't know. I'm just gonna go and get one tomorrow. They're being salty. I mean, they probably are being salty because honestly, they're negative. Like, everybody's been negative about them. But there's not really anything to be positive about. So, like, can you blame people for being negative about Nvidia's situation? Like, you must be more complimentary. Yeah. I'm definitely not who they're focusing on. That's what I've realized. I think for a little bit there, like, they did send me a lot of stuff before. I think they thought that they could change how I look at their products, and it just didn't work. Crazy concept, but did not work. I'm just gonna look at it for what it is, and like, yeah.
Because it is a kind of scorched earth approach, but that's the GN Chef special. Scorched earth. Intel's been on the list, AMD's been on the list, Nvidia's been on the list, and off the list, and on the list, and off the list, and on.
A benefit that Gamers Nexus has, though, is like they'll always get some sort of connection to somebody because they're big enough. So like some company's gonna want to send them a graphics card or something. I mean, they have like what? How many subs do they have now? They have 2.4 million. They're gonna get attention, and they're gonna make a big fuss out of it if they don't get like a review sample or something like that, because that is companies intentionally trying to hide products. If they don't give them a review sample, they are trying to hide it from mass, like a lot of people. So Mike says, I have bought an AMD GPU because of your videos. Which one did you get? I mean, at this point, GN isn't going to take a review sample from anyone. I mean, it's fair. They don't even need to get review samples. The only reason it helps is really for us. because they get it early. They can test it early for us, and then we can actually see if it's a good product or not. But there is that issue with review access. It's called access journalism. I'm pretty sure that's the name for it, where like there's an incentive to keep getting products like for review. Because like you got to work with the company to some degree, or else you're not going to get review samples anymore. That especially hits like smaller channels and stuff where like budget is more constrained. But someone like Gamers Nexus, they could just buy it. But if they don't get it early, they won't be able to get a review out on day one because they don't have enough time to test it. So that's it. Transactional journalism, I wouldn't call that. It's more access journalism because it's getting access to look at something ahead of time. Transactional would be like they typically would just pay you. That says I have a 7800 XT. Okay. 7800 XT is a good ass card. I like it.
On the list, and they're on the list again now. Nvidia's restriction of the newest RTX 5060 review units and drivers is interesting, where they're not distributing drivers until launch day, but it's not special. Today is about, in our opinions, Nvidia's malignant poisoning of the media by creating a facade of open access to its people and then using those people like poker chips to subversively try to advance a certain narrative, even though it already controls 90% of the market. And less than ever, Nvidia has needed to engage in subterfuge and manipulation, and yet more than ever, we feel that they're trying it. And that they decided to try changing editorial direction with us, of all of the outlets, made us talk to other media outlets to learn about their experience of it. And we'll have some of that later in the week as well. Now, in order to continue to be allowed to talk to thermal engineer Malcolm and technical latency expert Guillermo, both of whom are audience favorites and people we greatly enjoy working with, we've been informed that
part of the thing that makes me so upset about Nvidia's situation is on the GeForce side, there genuinely is some really cool shit going on. Really cool shit. Like, they market it in a way, like multi-frame generation, they market it in a way that sucks. But multi-frame generation itself is actually a really cool technology. It's niche, but very cool if it does work for you. Okay? DLSS upscaling, great technology. It's pretty much pushed the entire industry forward, but at the same time, because of like I think downward pressure from the CEOs and or the freaking administration and stuff. They have to make these graphics cards that are like proportioned out, tiered out really poorly, so you get something like a 4080 or a 5080 that's really the die size of a 70 class card, but it costs over $1,000. It makes no sense. That card could have been like a $500-600 graphics card, but it isn't because of the situation that we're in. So like, there's also that, but also the should have one here. The hardware designers too. I mean, the Founders Edition models like aren't that like common, obviously, but look at these things. They're so cool. This looks awesome. It's like amazing build quality. Nvidia might lose money on them, to be honest, but it is a really nice card. Like the hardware designers absolutely killing it. The chips are extremely efficient. It's just they're overpriced, and then they have to be tiered out in a way that they have like 8 gigabytes of VRAM on a 5060 Ti that's like $400. You know, it's just like the freaking planned obsolescence is just awful. So yeah.
Both of whom are audience favorites
Reflex as
and
well.
people we greatly
Really cool.
enjoy working with. We've been informed that we need to talk more about multi-frame generation, especially MFG4X, and include MFG4X on charts, even with cards that can't feature it.
So they're
and
getting
NVIDIA
pressured.
wants to reinforce, we think,
They're getting pressure too from Nvidia to talk about these things. Nvidia's done this to me too. Should I wait to buy the 9060 or just buy the 5060? I would just wait to see what the 9060 is, and 5060 doesn't even have reviews up. So I would just wait. I don't think these things are going to sell insanely. Now, I might, like, that'd be like in person. Like the last time I got a 5060 Ti, I went to Micro Center and there's nobody there. I don't know if you guys saw that video, but I just like walked in and just, like wandered around for a little bit. Nobody was buying them. So I just kind of waltzed my way in, got one, and left. And that was about it. So at least in person, I don't think they're selling out like crazy. But now we can look at something like PC Part Picker. And here, what is 5060 Ti? These guys are in stock still. So I don't think you're going to have to be like scrambling to get a 5060. The Ti is still in stock. I think that would be the more in-demand product, the Ti version. So I would just wait until AMD brings out their graphics cards too and see how they stack up. I'm being straight up. That's my thoughts on it. Alright. Where did I put... What video is this? Here.
Jensen's lie, where it's committed to making sure that 5070 equals 4090 is true. Maybe there's a concern of a future class action or something, and they want to create a paper trail to try and say that actually it is true. With increasing boldness, Nvidia has stated to us that they might not be able to keep letting us interview Guillermo and Malcolm if we don't produce reviews the way Nvidia executives want them to be produced. Now, us doing exactly what Nvidia asks, even though it's in direct opposition to what we believe is right for the consumer, would be a breach of trust. And it would be lying. Sort of like what Jensen did when he said this.
That's not good. So basically they're just trying to limit their access to even the cool parts of GeForce. And not letting Gamers Nexus talk to those people. That's really fucked up. I'm banning this guy. See, the guy in chat is just like, sup bro, need some gas? Hey, the chat isn't working. Why the chat not working? Hey. Chat's broken. Sorry, you guys can't see yourselves. Can I refresh it? Ah, you guys are gone. I'm banning this one guy in chat that keeps saying, sup bro, you need some gas? Rip bozo. Oh, you guys are back. See if he says anything. This is your last chance to speak, buddy. I kind of wish... Channel activity. Look at this. Look at this guy. What's up, bro? Need some gas? He said this way more than that. How do I refresh this? I think he's AI. I'd hope so. I would hope so. This is weird. Bro's getting banned. Banned. I think it's right here. That's pretty much banned. Hiding them. Some bro needs some AI. The Nvidia AI has escaped. And now they're asking if we need gas.
Would be lying. Sort of like what Jensen did when he said this.
4090 performance at 549.
That sounds like a great deal, Jensen.
We brought you this video with store.gamersnexus.net and 10% off coupon code IDGAF, as in, I don't give a fuck. You can apply it to our GPU Paper Launch t-shirt, which shows a legally distinct GPU entering a shredder to be turned into a nice green piece of paper. It's possible that Nvidia...
It gets me whenever Steve swears because I usually bleep it out. Then sometimes he just does it.
applies this particular brand of
Also, I like this shirt. I think this shirt's cool.
retribution to us today, and so to continue supporting our independent reporting, head over to store.gamersnexus.net and grab one of these t-shirts in a 100% cotton or comfortable tri-blend. You should also check out our mod mats, including our new B-Stock mod mat listings for a more affordable large variants, and our ever-popular GN15 large PC building anti-static mod mats. Our project and soldering mats are also available in blue, green, red, and yellow, and offer a thick, high heat resistant surface for any kind of project with easy cleanup. Consider also our new tabletop gaming dice kits, like the e-waste inductor dice with
really
embedded
just shouting out
inductors
everything
within
here.
them, or the Snowflake the Cat dice. These are high quality, sharp edge resin dice for tabletop gaming with a fully
These do look
custom
pretty
wooden
cool. I think
box
they're, like,
bearing the GN Alchemy logo,
expensive,
each coming with its own card in the style of popular card games.
They had to have weighed these, right? Like, am I crazy?
Bearing
Like,
the
when they
GN
have,
Alchemy logo. Each
like, a little spool of wire in there, like, it's not like a weighted dice. Like, it has to be, you know? You could cheat that shit, right?
coming with its own card in the style
Sure, they
of
thought of
popular
that,
card
right?
games. Head over to store.gamersnexus.net to support us directly, and remember, use code IDGAF for the next few days only for 10% off. Nvidia seems to view review relationships like some kind of quid pro quo and expects that it's supposed to get something in return for them other than just the product review itself. And
I've had this happen with Nvidia. All right, I say something, and then they genuinely they act so weird. Like, they'll ghost you. Like, if they didn't like what you said last or the last video you posted, they'll just like ghost you. They won't talk to you. They'll put you down on the review list. They won't sell you products or anything like that, which they're taking it very personally, which is the weird part. At least that's the vibe I get. But they don't talk to me, so I don't know. But they used to talk to me kind of regularly. Now they don't. So, damn.
AMD actually used to be like that too, back before it fired all of the worst executives that were enforcing that approach. So because Nvidia believes that this is purely transactional, we'll first prove...
Oh shit. Something I didn't even mention. Let's see. I want to know your guys' thoughts on this, because I'm not going to be able to get a 5060. And buying graphics cards is expensive. Okay? So I was going to offer this. You can see in the right above my head here. There's $7 towards it right now. I get it. If you guys wouldn't want to donate, it would literally be to get a 5060 and be able to test it as soon as I possibly can. I would be buying it day one. But I get it. Honestly, save your money if you want to buy a graphics card. Basically, yeah, I think we could get maybe times 300 frame generation, and then we put that dollar mark all the way up there to 5060. We can do a GoFundMe. Because, like, dude, buying these, I barely even want to buy them, okay? I think I can afford this one because they're cheap. Like, relatively to, like, what, like a 5070 Ti would cost. Yeah. The idea, what I would do is, I think I'm getting a 5060 from Asus. So I would, not that I recommend these cards really, but giving one away, I think would be pretty cool. So I would be able to get one tomorrow on launch day, and I'd hopefully be able to give one away. I haven't even been confirmed if I'm actually getting a second card. But I think it'd be pretty cool. So yeah. Don't buy trash without a plan. Maybe I can return it.
Prove a point. We've produced a ton of content about FSR, DLSS, and MFG. In fact, we've produced 71 minutes of content explicitly covering MFG and DLSS 4 with in-depth testing, frame-by-frame comparison of frame generation, and technical analysis. Some of it was positive. Our 5090 review was 40 minutes long. The teardown was 29 minutes long, meaning that our MFG and DLSS in-depth testing actually is longer than our 5090 review content. If we had included MFG and DLSS coverage in the 5090 review, it would have been under 4 minutes and something else would have been cut. But it's never enough for Nvidia. Nvidia wants MFG 4X in the charts of the reviews themselves and in the reviews. Here's the bigger problem. Nvidia has created a situation where you can't trust the independence of any MFG or DLSS coverage because of the way it's pushing these constant threats of access to hardware, or in our case, the not even implicit, but the straight up explicit statements that interviews with people like Malcolm or Guillermo are possible if we include things like MFG in the reviews. So they have undermined the integrity of any of that coverage. I personally cannot look at anyone's review where they talk about MFG or DLSS without wondering if they got the same talk we did And that's a problem, especially now.
That's bad. That's a really good point he's bringing up. Because now it susses out every review, because if they start talking about it a little bit too much, it's like, hey, did they cave into what Nvidia is trying to shove down their throats? Pause. Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. I don't know either, because I've seen some videos that talked about multi-frame generation that don't pretense it in like the market, and how Nvidia is trying to present this to people, that it's supposed to be like real performance in their eyes. And not that it's not a good feature, it's just, it's not that. So, I don't know, can you trust people?
That you all know about it. So, Nvidia told us that adding MFG and DLSS reviews was necessary to, quote, secure budget, to have Malcolm and Guillermo technical interviews on thermals and latency, even though they do not pay us. In fact, I paid tens of thousands of dollars now to fly out to their venues and their offices to cover those things. It was our...
That's crazy. That's where Gamers Nexus deserves a lot of respect, because they're covering it because they're excited for it. Yeah, I think you missed the announcement. It was about 30 seconds. Yeah, this music does not match Steve's energy. I don't have anything. Like, this is just like a mix on Spotify. So basically, Nvidia is trying to strong arm him. Oh, it's bad. They're trying to say that this gives so many perspectives on it, because you have to kind of think about how these companies think. Like, when Nvidia is approaching reviewers, every reviewer or anybody who tests their graphics card, you don't just get the graphics card for free. That costs Nvidia money. That costs them like management costs and, you know, moving and shipping everything. Like, it's not free for them. So they have to be getting something out of it. They're a company. They wouldn't do it if they weren't getting something out of it. So you have to think about how they actually approach the reviews, which this can be a thing where I agree with Steve. These need to be like objective reviews. They need to be able to test and talk about the things that you want to talk about, and not have Nvidia restrict your access to people or information for it. But at the same time, though, they're not going to provide you that stuff if they're not going to make money on it. They make billions. Yeah, they make billions, but they're not going to make less money. They don't want to make less money. So this is where, like, there can be a dichotomy where, yes, the best thing would be for Steve to have objective journalism, or like objectively be able to look at these products. But that's never going to work. Like reviewers, like YouTubers, content creators, or anything, we don't have the same goals as Nvidia has with these products. If our goals were aligned to show off the thing in its best light possible, then it would be a good thing. And actually, in points of time in Nvidia's history, I think it has been a good thing, because Nvidia would be like, oh, this, like with 10 series, like, oh, 10 series is really great value, it has good performance and everything. So it makes sense for 10 series just be like, oh, pump it out and show people the card. You just need to show people the performance, and it speaks for itself. But nowadays, they want people to test different features or show things and not look at the card as objectively, because it's Nvidia's best interest. So, like, at points in time, interests have aligned, but now they don't. And Nvidia wants to keep pushing, probably with the power they think that they have, for anybody to review it in the way they want to review it. The announcement is today. Yeah, it was about 30 seconds at 11 o'clock p.m., at least Eastern time. Yeah.
Our cost, our budget was the only budget in this entire conversation. And they're talking about securing budget as if this is somehow a paid exchange. Now, I don't know if that was a Freudian slip where maybe they pay other people for coverage like that. But whatever the case may be, that was how it was delivered to us, where in order to continue doing these types of interviews, And for them to quote secure budget, we had to cover things a certain way in the reviews that were totally unrelated to the people we were even interviewing.
And that's what can be tricky too, is like sometimes when they pay people, they might actually just be like paying for their flight out, paying for their meals. But because the content creator gets a video out of it, they get views, you get money from views and stuff, that they're kind of paying them indirectly, and they're just not having them eat a bunch of the travel costs. So that's something that happens, and that's like, I've been offered this. Nvidia tried to fly me out to CES and then put me in a hotel, and I said no, I'm not doing that. If I'm going, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to pay for it. And they tried to do that. That shit happens all the time. It's not great. And you're definitely going to be at least subconsciously biased towards them, even if you're trying to look at them objectively. Fucking Vex, AI is the future no matter who. It's all AI. But yeah, this is the situation. You'll find this happen all the time in media.
Made no sense. But they know we don't take money for them, so I have to wonder if they view these interviews through a lens of thinking we view it as a monetary gain, such as through the other ads that are run on them, as some sort of big transaction, the way Nvidia looks at everything.
Oh,
and if that's the case, then it's just plain dirty. But
they are a public company. So it's like, can you blame them for looking at it in a money sense? I mean, like, Gamers Nexus doesn't have a board of directors. You know what I mean? I agree with Steve. Like, they shouldn't, like, Nvidia shouldn't look at it like this, but I can see why they do. So, it just sucks for us, basically. I wish some of these companies, like, dude, and I see this throughout so many different things, but a lot, like, public companies don't benefit the consumer in any major way. Public companies, the reason why they go public is because they can get public investment, which means they can build bigger and bigger projects, maybe incur a little bit more debt because they have investors actually like giving them some money up front and that type of stuff. And that means that they can make bigger and better products. But Nvidia's in a position where they don't really need public investment anymore. So now it's just hurting them. So, yeah. And there's also, that's every big company ever. That isn't every big company ever, though. Because there's quite a few that are private that still do very, very good stuff. Like, think about Valve. Maybe Valve has some issues, but I think most people are happy with Steam. Private company. Massive company. Not very many employees, but a massive company. Tons of revenue. But most big companies are public. So, you have any other examples? Like, give me an example of a private company that doesn't, that does well, or that doesn't do well, like a corrupt private company. So eventually, the public market, I think, just corrupts things. It can be good at the beginning, and then later on, not great. Is Nestle private? Update dono counter. There's been no donos, so I can't update. I don't blame you if you guys don't want to give me money for a 5060. It's really just to try to ease the cost a little bit. It's fine if they toss all the companies and go and buy AMD or Intel. They can't. They're never gonna buy Intel or AMD. That's gonna be like a monopoly.
But either way, even ignoring this misrepresentation of so-called budget, we already have over an hour of content on MFG and DLSS, and it's still not enough for them. Possibly because it wasn't purely positive, but we won't capitulate, because if you give Nvidia an inch, they'll take a mile, and their drivers don't even fucking work anyway. This whole thing is...
He went all in, bro. He's just swearing all the time now.
Bizarre though, Malcolm is a thermal engineer. He has nothing to do with MFG, and to be clear, we are almost certain that he has no idea he's being treated as a poker chip by Nvidia's upper command. We like Nvidia's acoustic, thermal, and latency engineers and have friendly rapport with them. We find them to be honest and intelligent without being marketers. The information is genuine and comes from a genuine place. I would absolutely love to continue working with Malcolm and Guillermo, but that's what makes this so gross from Nvidia. Nvidia is now undermining even that trust with its engineers by poisoning the well. It seeps into the ground and it can't be removed. We can't trust Nvidia's motives for anything now, and at this point you shouldn't either, and frankly it's disturbing how many times Nvidia brings up Malcolm's name specifically when we talk about MFG and charts. Because again, he's a thermal engineer. He makes fans and metal make things cold. That is what Malcolm does. He does not make fake frames and then put them onto charts and then lie and claim that a 5070 is a 4090. So I assume that the reason they keep bringing him up specifically in this non sequitur is because they know we like working with him. And that again just makes it even dirtier. Because
what sucks too is like they're not gonna be able to work around Nvidia. Like if they just wanted to talk to Malcolm, for example, about thermal design, they're not just gonna be able to like, oh, let's just do this on the side. Like Malcolm would get fired. Who in chat owns a 50 series card? How has it been? Oh, I am on a random playlist. I actually haven't played Persona. Sad. I do like this song though.
Because Nvidia sees this opportunity of, he doesn't seem to give a fuck if we take away the cards. What if we take away access to the people the audience likes and the people that Steve likes working with? Nvidia has accurately identified that if our GPU sampling is cut, we'll just get the hardware a different way, and they won't be a part of the conversation. That's their decision to make. If they don't want the opportunity to say anything at any point in a review, they don't have to have that opportunity. We can go get it, we'll do the testing ourselves, and we'll proceed as normal. So instead of trying to use something of less value as leverage, Nvidia has pinpointed that we get along well with engineers, our audience likes them, and the content is great and unique. But why stop at good content for the brand when you can weaponize it to extort a certain directive?
It's because the other shit makes them more money. But the problem is, I agree with Steve, like that's cool content that people enjoy, going and looking how a graphics card thermal design was made. That's cool. And the technology they used to make it, that's fucking cool. Okay? Multi-frame generation is so niche, but it works towards Nvidia's marketing. So sucks.
There's a lot of big words in that sentence, so that means that's the right way to do it.
So much missed opportunity.
If Nvidia is viewing this as quid pro quo, then Nvidia should be abso-fucking-lutely flattered that we've spent as much time as we have covering things like their thermal solution and doing so positively, because I think it's actually brilliant. That is how much we liked it. I will, in this video, still give them credit for the things that they've done well. But it was genuinely fun to work on. We had multiple videos calling it good. We included Schlieren imaging, which nobody else did. And we included specialized acoustic testing, which I'm also fairly certain nobody else did in that level of detail. But again, it's not good enough. It is not good enough to do these things. You also have to talk about the rest of the narrative that they want to talk about. And to be in media doing testing on hardware with such limited time before a review goes live, the whole point is that everybody does something that the other people aren't doing. That's the cool part about it. But Nvidia doesn't get that. Nvidia seems to want a concerted push on their narrative, and it always wants more. It is never enough for Nvidia. By threatening access to interviews and hardware, Nvidia has created a scenario where all of the intentions have to be questioned, and that can even include ours if people don't know about this, which is why we have to expose it now to make sure everybody's aware of exactly what's going on behind the scenes, because Nvidia has dirtied what was otherwise a clean and fun, seemingly transparent look at their hardware.
When would you guys say was the point when Nvidia started to shift? Like, because they used to work very well with media and stuff and wanted to make cool, fun content that seemed mostly positive. When did it switch? Crypto? I could see that. RTX? I could see RTX as well. What? Bring up chat here. I guess there's chat twice on the screen here, but 20 series, a lot of people are saying 20 series. 50 series, I mean, they definitely were doing some shady shit before 50 series. I could see where it started, the vibe started to change at RTX when they started to want people to push, to show off ray tracing and DLSS content. Where they wanted to show off those features and they didn't really want to talk about anything else. Like thermal design, who gives a shit? 4060 is when the vibe changed. I don't know about that one either. Just think about it. I mean, 30 series during COVID was awful. They took advantage of that situation. And then they made a marketing move to make a low hash rate card that isn't good for GPU mining. That was really to act like they cared about gamers. So, yeah. 20 series. I would say that they started to push a direction during 20 series and it got bad during 30 series, and we really haven't gone back to any sort of like normal, not manipulative conversation with Nvidia at all. The last money grab of the 3090 Ti, that's true.
But that transparency apparently was not the only intent. It was coming with the price. And we, to maintain the transparency, will be sharing all of that with you, because we're not going to let Nvidia use this shit as a cudgel to dictate how we cover things.
He's mad.
It's fucked up. I went off script. Nvidia's undermining all the DLSS and MFG content by doing this, and I'm certain that for many of our peers, just like for us, they looked at the technologies. That's the Nvidia bike going by. They're trying to make sure you can't hear me. Many of our peers probably looked at the technologies because they were genuinely interested in it, but you still have to look at it and wonder what was going on behind the scenes, and was it the same as it was for us? And again, this is a problem for Nvidia, and I'm not sure they even thought about it that way, which is a big issue. So, for example, I spoke with Hardware Unboxed. I know
I'm still waiting to see where this RTX neural material is. Like, I want to see a demo of it. Is it working in any game? Is this even real?
Hardware Unboxed genuinely wanted to cover the MFG and DLSS technology, and their intentions were good. Hardware Unboxed, though, is interesting and will come up later because they got a talk similar to the one we just got years and years ago for similar editorial direction standpoint on reviews. But the problem
that's what's crazy is that, like, what the fuck is the editorial direction have anything to do with NVIDIA? Do you want to work with the reviewer or do you not want to work with the reviewer? Like, what is this bullshit? Vex is not the only one. Yeah, they talk. It sounds like a lot of people have issues with NVIDIA and how the way they speak to them. Is MFG as good as they say? Not really. I'm going to do a quick little tangent on MFG because MFG is really niche multi-frame generation because you can do ×2, ×3, or ×4. The thing is, for frame generation to feel good, you need at least like 50 to 60 FPS to start. And it doesn't improve your latency. That's the reason why it needs to be at least 50 to 60 FPS, because that's decent latency for when you move your mouse. The thing about it is, like, once you go 2 times, you know, you're already going to be, your frame rate will probably be around 80 to 100 FPS. Which is already pretty good, and I don't really think you need that much more frames with frame generation. But you can go up to 3 times, and, like, it depends on the game, obviously. But, you know, you can go up, and then maybe you get, like, I don't know, like 120 FPS with ×3, 130 or so. And then you can go up again and maybe get, like, 180 FPS. Somewhere in there. It usually won't be 4 times the base frame rate. Like, you started with 60, you'll probably get 130, not 240. That's typically how it is. But the thing is, like, a lot of people don't have refresh rates that are like a 240 hertz or something. Some people do, and it could be useful, but it's only going to be useful as much as the generation goes to on the refresh rate of your monitor, so you won't be able to see them. And it doesn't actually improve your latency, so it just makes it look smoother. So, like, anything going above the refresh rate of your monitor doesn't matter at all. So, pretty much. Yeah, there's OLED, but like most people, let's be for real, don't have an OLED monitor. So I just think it's a very niche feature, but they advertise it like it's useful for everybody. You're not going to be multi-frame generating from 30 FPS. You're just not. It's not a great experience.
That emerges is now every reviewer is looking at this video going, oh fuck, I have to now justify that I actually talked about this stuff because I wanted to, not because Nvidia told me to. So it creates this cascade of issues.
I have seen reviewers too, and they give you, okay, so like, if you guys are aware of the process, they give reviewers like a guide. They call it a review guide, Nvidia does. But I've also heard companies call them more so like a, forget. There's a different language for it that doesn't sound as manipulative, because when you call it a guide, it's like, oh, they want you to test exactly like this. But it's more of like something to show you what issues you might be run into, what results they're getting versus what you're getting, and see if you're accurate, that type of stuff. So though the review guide exists, and I have seen reviewers quote stuff or do things exactly like how the guide told them to do. And I only know that because I have read the guide. Okay, everybody watching the video doesn't know that, and that's what gets really weird. I've seen reviewers do that. And they try to basically, yeah, they try to construct a narrative, yeah. Which I think I can show you. I might be able to show you a review guide. Let me see. For the 5060 Ti, because this card's already out, it shouldn't be under like embargo or anything. But I've seen people quote these and it's like, it's bad. A reviewer's guide. Okay, let me just make sure it doesn't have anything to it, like a embargo. Again, do I really care if I breach the embargo? I mean, if I don't have to, that'd be better. But okay, it should be downloading. I can't show it right now. It's like not freaking loading. All the computing power Nvidia has, but they can't load their goddamn website. If a 5060 can't run GTA 6 at 1080p, that's an optimization issue. I don't know, the 5060 is not amazing though. Doesn't look like it. Okay, it's downloading. Okay. Okay, let me just make sure there's no embargo. Okay. I think I can show you guys this. They'd normally tell you if there is like some kind of embargo on it. I won't show a ton because I'm not 100% sure. But essentially, this is the type of stuff that you can see in a review guide. Like, it'll just be a big old PDF. And they tell you basically some talking points, essentially. So here's like Reflex 2. They give you some games that these are working in. This is for the 5060 Ti. So yeah, they give you a bunch of information. I've seen people literally read this word for word, and no one else would know unless you read the guide. I didn't read the whole thing, but depends on the card that you're testing. Like if you're testing a card, you might look at the section of it. Fuck that, this thing's 138 pages. Like I ain't reading all that. You don't need it all either. But that's essentially what it can be. So yeah, they're huge. I don't always read them, to be honest, because they're massive. Okay, let's keep watching Steve.
all from Nvidia. Nvidia is
Nvidia
well
worth
known
it?
in the industry for being vindictive,
Yeah,
not
it's
just
called
towards
an ad,
media,
not a
but
review.
its own
It's called an
partners.
ad guy.
EVGA left loudly because of it, and we had exclusives in our coverage of that. But over the years, every board partner we've spoken to has been terrified at one point or another of Nvidia's visceral reactions to innocuous things. When I fought Nvidia over this editorial direction push that they've been pursuing in our calls, which I've recorded and I am prepared to release if I have to, because Nvidia was also recording those calls, and both parties were aware that Nvidia was recording those calls because they were calls for the press. Just to be clear, Nvidia, I am prepared to release them if I need to reinforce my statements today. But in those calls, I repeatedly pointed out that this whole thing of pursuing a certain editorial push narrative, that creates a transparency problem. And a different Nvidia representative stated, my transparency is that I give you a card to test and review. That's my form of transparency. Which is like...
So dono bar broken?
Okay, but you didn't though.
Wait, how is the dono bar broken? It's doing a super chats. Am I getting donations through Streamlabs? That might be my fault, guys. Because I think it's through super chats. Let me check really quick. How would I see, where would this be? God. Have people donated to me? Because if you're donating, I literally haven't seen it, and I apologize. Where the hell would I see this? Excuse me. I don't think so. I'm looking in Streamlabs. I'm not seeing like donations popping up unless something is broken. Recent events. Oh, there's a couple. There's a couple. Should I do the thing through? Yeah, there's a couple. Someone said Hero and Penguin donated $10. Say gamers don't want DLSS that messes up frame timing and feels horrible. Using additional VRAM you don't have. For Nvidia GPUs were an afterthought as it shows. So keep up the great work. Thank you, bro. And then, yeah, I apologize. I'm sorry, guys. I should have specified that this is for that. So this is Streamlabs. So Catchy 007 tipped $5 5060 question mark. Yeah, we already talked about it. ChatG that's another one. Tipped $15 and said Scissor. Thanks, bro. Have they been popping up on the stream? Okay. Those will go towards the 5060.
And for the people who did get it, the drivers aren't public anyway. So first of all, fuck off for even saying that. And secondly, it's not even true.
I can try something.
The fuck off part's not in the script. But our contacts are good people, and so we've wondered where all this is coming from. The answer is from the top. We asked other people, not our contacts, and particularly former insiders, and found that executive level decisions from 3 people are landing on PR around the world to force through media. Nvidia's misleading demands of MFG4X inclusion in reviews would help it to avoid the problem that it has now, which is that its products aren't improving as much as the price is increasing. But even if someone wanted to add that data to reviews, Nvidia often only gives reviewers 3 to 5 full days to review a card, sometimes a week if we're lucky. And then there's the fact that its own drivers are currently so fucked up beyond all recognition, or the FUBAR drivers as I call them, that even enabling MFG or DLSS in some games with some settings causes them to crash or the system to shut down. So it's already physically impossible to do all the tests that we do in that time and yet add more, and then it doesn't even work sometimes anyway, which would mean we take other things out, which Nvidia would also be mad about. But that doesn't matter because we don't produce reviews for Nvidia to be happy about them. We produce reviews for people to buy products or not buy products or buy competing products. That's what we do as our service. And so from Nvidia's viewpoint, we basically need to change our editorial direction. And pressuring us isn't going to work, but it's also not the first time Nvidia's done this for people. The last time they chose other Steve from Hardware Unboxed. And back then it was only the access to hardware they threatened, which Steves don't care about because Steves can get the hardware from other Steves in the industry. Frankly,
again, there's a hive mind of Steves, so you need to pay attention to all the Steves.
I think they're discriminating against Steves because we're at a 2-for-2 hit rate on Steves who have been threatened by Nvidia. But we've also learned something interesting. The last time this happened, back when Hardware Unboxed was told to adjust their editorial direction to include more focus on technology that wasn't ready for prime time, we learned that, allegedly, the directive came from the top, one of 3 people, and was forced down through media contacts. We also learned from numerous former Nvidia employees that the executives have a culture of throwing people under the Jensen bus, which adds a new layer of deceit to the whole approach. Because now, instead of access to a simple physical hardware product, and instead of also adding this sort of Damocles over the reviewer of access to interviewing and engineering discussions, it also has the third run, which is that anyone in the media with a conscience is going to wonder how exposing something like we're doing today is going to affect the messengers who are given the message to send to us when it goes back up the chain, and they have a "who did this to me" conversation. So I know these demands aren't necessarily coming directly from the representatives.
Is that the same jacket that... No, Jensen had a new jacket today. How many jackets does he have? How many lizards died for Jensen's jacket? At least 1,000.
So I know these demands aren't necessarily coming directly from the representatives who work for Nvidia and talk to us. We think it's coming from above them. And to try and prove this theory, I went and I spoke to a ton of other media you all likely know from all around the world. And I learned that in all of these regions, there is a consistent theme of this background pressure of covering certain things in a certain way in reviews. And that is a global thing for Nvidia.
Yeah, they did this to me too. Yeah, they did this to me. It's rough, bro. Because that's like all they yap at you. They're just like, yeah, it's amazing because it has multi-frame generation. And that's what you should test. It's great because it has that. Forget about the bad drivers. Forget about all the other shit. So, damn it. I can't see these. I don't know how I'm sorry. Somebody else just donated. I think I just have to have Streamlabs up. Zenu said, thank you for the hard work and dedication. Bring info to us gamers. You're welcome. Appreciate the $10. Can you guys hear the donation? But, God, I lost my train of thought. Because I saw that.
It's a consistent theme of this background pressure of covering certain things in a certain way in reviews.
Yeah, they try to push that on me all the time, too. That's the only thing they talk about. All they talk about is frame gen. They're like, hey, you can use DLSS upscaling at 1080p. Yay! Did we talk about how back in the 30 series that these 60 class cards are marketed at 1440p native? That's all. Like, we're not going to mention that. And Steve had a good way of putting it too, is like, their graphics cards aren't getting better at the same rate that they're costing more. Not at all. Basically, it's like a rehash for 2 generations now. Like, these aren't that far off from 30 series cards, which is crazy. You know, LTT is in bed with Nvidia Fool. That's crazy. I don't think so, but LTT does behave a little weird. but I don't think they're like I don't think they're getting Jensen's jackets. They definitely want to keep a relationship. So like you can see like LTT doesn't go as risky because they want to maintain business relationships. And that could be something like when you're independent media that puts you at a lot more risk because you can't always stand on your integrity because you don't want to risk that kind of stuff. You're dealing with so many people's livelihoods. Like they have over 100 employees, so they don't want to risk that stuff. They don't have to. So, hey man, I DM'd you on Discord. Okay. That's funny. Okay. Alright.
That is a global thing for Nvidia, which we think means it really narrows it down to the top of the top, because this is not some like rogue American PR thing. This seems to be a company culture thing. And when this is seen at the top, I want to make sure that the executives don't...
The thing about it though is it makes me wonder though if any other company would be really any different. Like if AMD was the dominant force in the GPU market, would they try to avoid this stuff? Or would they try to be... Like, I feel like given a company long enough, being a public company, being on the top, most companies will eventually fall into that. But I'm not sure. Because it's like, it's a business. It's a trap. They shouldn't fall into the trap, but I wouldn't be surprised. AMD would probably be worse. I don't know. Yeah, let's see what happens with Zen 6 marketing. I mean, yeah, fair, because Zen 5 is kicking Intel's ass. Even though Zen 5 isn't even that good.
don't have the ability to just blame the people below them. That's why he emailed one of them. Matt Webling, the head of GeForce Marketing, immediately tried to put his employee in front of him as a shield when I sent an email saying we need to speak on
Oh, I've talked to Ben. That's who I talked to.
record. We told our contact to please stay out of it.
Damn, they're actually leaking emails. Damn.
And pushed Webling for answers on a recorded call.
Okay, what do they say here? I'd prefer to leave you and Jacob out of it. Who is? Oh, Jake. This is Jacob Freeman, which he is newer to Nvidia. He used to work for EVGA. I talked to Jacob and Ben. Those are the people I talked to. I prefer to leave you and Jacob out of it as it doesn't pertain to either of you. I've just heard enough from other sources to not want to involve you guys because it can cause you problems internally. I greatly like working with you and Jacob and respect the way you guys handle things. My understanding from others is that topics for discussion come from Matt, and it is my intention to not get any of our usual context into internal crosshairs for decisions that come down the pipe. Matt, can we either speak directly or I'll just run this? I want it clear that Ben and Jacob are not involved though, and so we'll be only speaking this issue directly with you as to ensure no shared blame. If we go through normal channels, we'll pass as it is not the right people. This can be something, or a lot of companies will try to hide their intentions and the actions that they've taken because they can hide behind the bureaucracy of it. So like bureaucracy is like when there's a ton of different people involved in the management. So like they might try to hide behind different employees and then never actually take accountability or blame. This is I could see happening here. What prompted this though? Is it just like the editorial? So basically, there's one person that Steve was talking to that was giving them this editorial direction thing. Like, hey, You're not talking about our lovely features as much as we want you to. But at the end of the day, it's just one guy. So like you're trying to basically isolate, is this one person of the company that's kind of corrupt, or is this like everybody there? And I can say, and I don't even think they're bad people. I don't think a lot of the people they're bad. I think they're just doing their job. I mean, I talk to Jacob and Ben pretty regularly. I don't think they're bad people. I think they're just doing their job, but they put the same pressures on me. So it is what it is. So this might be still from higher up in the company. Just following orders, yeah. I could see that. But I've been mad at them before. It's just, I don't know if it's their fault. Because I feel like if I put pressure on them and then they stop responding to me, it's like, is that kind of all they can do in certain situations? Like, they can't give me an answer because I've done cornered them. So they just don't say anything.
Out of it and pushed Weblin for answers on a recorded call because he's an actual executive who has control over some of this stuff. And we wanted to speak to someone who has the full and accurate picture of what happened internally to go over how they're doing this again. It's just like when we spoke to Asus at Computex last year. The first thing they do is put someone in marketing in front of us. Nice guy, not the right guy. And we kept pushing until we could get the director of something to try and get answers.
If I were to do something like that, I don't think I could bark up that tree enough. Did you miss it? I've had a lot of people come in chat and ask about the 5060 launch. Yes, it was about 30 seconds. Jensen did talk about it for about 30 seconds.
That would be what we were doing here. But Weblin stopped responding for a week after I told PR to stay out of it. So we replied to acknowledge that his response was loud and clear, and that we'd communicate his thoughts to his customers. We also anticipated vindictive sampling actions, so we've preempted that. Let's take a walk down memory lane. In 2018, Hard OCP broke a story about the Nvidia GeForce Partner Program, which was described as follows, quote, "The crux of the issue with the Nvidia GPP comes down to a single requirement in order to be part of GPP. In order to have access to the GPP program, its partners must have its gaming brand aligned exclusively with GeForce." That was a quote. "I've read documents," said Bennett, "with this requirement spelled out on it. What would it mean to have your gaming brand aligned exclusively with GeForce? Honks for the GeForce Partner Program here in Taipei." Quote, "The example that will likely resonate best with Hard OCP readers is the Asus Republic of Gamers brand. I have no knowledge if Asus is a GPP partner. I'm simply using the ROG brand hypothetically. If Asus is an Nvidia GPP partner and it wants to continue to use Nvidia GPUs in its ROG branded video cards, computers, and laptops, it can no longer sell any other company's GPUs in ROG products. So if Asus wants to keep building Nvidia-based ROG video cards, it can no longer sell AMD-based ROG video cards and be a GPP partner."
This is old news, right? That's crazy, though. Like, they're saying, like, hey, you're exclusive to us. What the fuck? That's wild. And your values have to align. So, like, when Asus markets a graphics card, like let's go to, like, ROG. If you go here and see, like, they have the same marketing that Nvidia has with Doom the Dark Ages. They have the same badges and logos and everything. I'll just move my camera for a second. Oh, you can't see it. There. Powering advanced AI. That's kind of normal. I think AMD does the same thing, like with badges and stuff you can put on their products. But also here, like, we just look at a graphics card. For example, look at the ROG Astral. I hate these things. These cookie setting things. If we click on, like, the Astral 5080, which, by the way, this graphics card has regularly been going for like $1,800 now on a graphics card that's supposed to be $1,000. And just remember, a 3080 came out in 2020. Yes, COVID and everything, but that was a $700 card. Now this is up at 1800. Okay. Yeah. Like, look at the first thing that they advertise here for a 5080. They have to come down here, and they're already talking about AI performance. Isn't ROG, it stands for fucking Republic of Gamers. And the first thing they talk about is AI. Like, what? Yeah, I think they should rename it, yeah. Republic of AI. That's so stupid. So is this still a thing? It wouldn't surprise me. Because, dude, the gaming part of a gaming graphics card from GeForce, G meaning gaming, it's not even the first point they put on their website. Who the hell would even get an Astral for AI? Like, you would get a cheaper model because, like, it usually doesn't... Usually the GPU isn't, like, maxed out on power when you're doing AI. Usually. I'm not sure all the time. That's crazy, though. 16 gigabyte AI card, yeah, it's not enough for AI. And it's $1,800. But, like, this is a normal thing. Like, see, let's see, like, if we pop over to, like, another company. Let's say, like, MSI. Graphics cards. This is what we'll be looking for. Products. MSI AI PC. I don't think that's exactly because of Nvidia there. That might be Microsoft, to be honest. What the hell is this? Oh, wait, it's up here. Okay, let's see, like, Supreme, which is their top-end card. So, again, a 5080. What do they market on here? Do they not have a overview? Okay. That look kind of cool. Okay, they actually advertise gaming first. Okay, that's better. The G stands for geometry, not gaming. So what about AI as geometry? I'm just kidding. I'm just playing with you. Okay, I mean, this is better. Why does Asus talk about AI immediately? I have no clue. Probably for 2 times MSRP, yeah. So that's where that's at. I wouldn't be surprised if Nvidia still does this stuff behind the scenes, but it doesn't actually end up coming to the surface. Good morning, I know, right? Alright, let's get back to Steve.
Cards, it can no longer sell AMD-based ROG video cards and be a GPU partner. End quote on that one, as an example of what we think is vindictiveness. In 2020, Nvidia tried to restrict Hardware Unboxed's access to GPUs because they weren't front-loading and heavily emphasizing ray tracing testing, which Hardware Unboxed maintained was because the technology simply wasn't ready yet. That was their opinion. We'd agree with it as well, especially in that era. But Nvidia didn't care. And for the internet out there, look, we get it. We get that Nvidia makes more money with AI than it does for gaming, and that by simply selling a game...
Oh, you know it's cool? You know, like, a little off topic, but Steve and Steve will be together at Computex. We should be expecting more Steve. Steve squared. They gotta find another Steve, too.
Gaming GPU, it's giving away money. But if it wants to abandon gaming, it should just do it. It's okay, Nvidia. It really is. If you want to just leave gaming and make all the money from data center and enterprise, you can do that. Just don't fuck it up for the rest of us on your way out the door by trying to manipulate how the coverage is handled. And it almost reminds me of the SGI situation, which is out of business now. And SGI only sold GPUs for the most part to enterprise, data center, and B2B. They didn't think that consumers could really afford GPUs or would have a use for them. Jensen Huang founded Nvidia with some others and pursued consumer graphics and built the company that it is today. If Jensen wants to repeat that history and go only B2B, that is totally fine. And it might not even repeat this time.
The thing is, though, like, they're never gonna just give up gaming, okay? They're like, it's such a huge market. Like they make billions of dollars off of gaming. Maybe not profit, but like they make billions of dollars on gaming. It'd be crazy for them to just throw it away. So, I mean, my opinion is that they should split off GeForce and make it its own company so it isn't driven by the same profit margins that overall Nvidia is. But I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Just over $2 billion, that's it? That's true. I don't think it's enough. I think they should upscale that money.
It might be that B2B is big enough now that he can maintain a B2B only company and not do gaming. So it's not that our gamers still being sold too thin that's the problem for us. It's the manipulation that's the problem of it. It's the threat that's handing over people like us when it has these conversations. If Nvidia wants to cut off its nose to spite its face, they can do that by disallowing further well-received, highly reviewed, neutral...
Like, look how cool that fucking board is. Like, GeForce is still doing really cool shit. Look how small it is, man. Look how cool it is. It's really impressive engineering.
The positive
That's
technical interviews with their engineers. But if Nvidia instead is going to threaten us on the fulcrum of a particular type of coverage, then we believe
600 watts.
that starts to become a form of extortion. And we think that Nvidia made a calculated play here, where Nvidia...
The show just ended. Anybody count the AIs for me in it? How many AIs did they have in the show?
realized if it takes away access to cards, it doesn't do a whole lot. Taking away access to money doesn't do anything because they don't give us money. But what if it takes away access to the things that generate money through separate channels, like just through YouTube AdSense? Maybe that'll work. That's how I felt receiving these messages. And just to be clear for our audience, again, referring to the coupon code 10% off on store.gamersnexus.net, I don't give a fuck what Nvidia does for any of that, because we're going to continue on just the same. I would love to bring you all engineering content and interviews and let them tell their story in a way that's educational and actually useful for people. If Nvidia doesn't want to be a part of that, that's fine. They can fuck off and do whatever they want, and we'll keep doing our thing. Ultimately, that's why we have audience support from you all.
That's one of the things too, like, Nvidia is still at a point though where people are mad about it. Like, people want Nvidia to be better, which is a good thing for Nvidia because people still care. Again, like, this is like the quote of the century, but it's like, it really becomes a problem when it turns into apathy and people just stop caring. Like, people have actually given up hope that Nvidia can do anything good anymore. And they're definitely getting there. Okay, like, every presentation we hear less and less about gaming and more about AI and crazy shit. So, like, the apathy is growing. Like, we stopped watching that stream because we didn't even care anymore. Apparently, the Nvidia presentation just ended. So, yeah. The massive AI is scheming against everything right now.
So we can do stuff like this. So anyway, at some point, enough is enough. And that's true for consumers too. And to keep that thought in mind of enough is enough, I'll leave you with a message from the late Gordon Ma-Un, my friend and mentor, who once said this at this very location in Taipei.
Internet, you will disagree, you will piss and moan in the comments all day. You will cry about it, scream about it, go on Twitter and Reddit, and and then you go to buy your Nvidia card. And the internet, because I know you right now, is like, yeah, this is like, I only care about value. You know, F you, Nvidia. You know, what's up with the prices?
Hey, Gordon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're in a restaurant.
Hey, it's me. Damn.
Coverage is handled.
Rest in peace to the GOAT. Gordon said it like it was, man. I mean, it's true. Like, at the end of the day, like, people will end up buying Nvidia graphics cards, and I think the main thing that we've seen lately. I'll move you guys up in the top right corner, or maybe there. Is right now actually AMD has like nothing to compete with. Now, they are releasing a 9070 XT coming soon, but like, or 9060 XT. But as you can see here, like the 9070 is $680. That's just a 9070. That's supposed to be $550. So their cheapest cards aren't that great either. But actually 5070s are going for less than 9070s. I think arguably you could say that this is a fine price for a 5070 when a 9070 costs that much more. Like you lose a little bit of VRAM, but you do get a little bit better ray tracing performance. You get DLSS upscaling and that stuff. AMD's FSR4 upscaling isn't as widespread in games as DLSS is right now. So, yeah. Vex, help. How to buy a GPU in Canada for a good price? I don't know. I don't live in Canada. I don't know. Maybe this site will help you. PC Part Picker can show you some prices and stuff. I don't know if they have a Canadian version. But yeah, like even a 5070 is starting to look better up against AMD's graphics cards right now. I'm gonna go to Micro Center. I guess it's today now. The 5060 launches today because it's officially 12:47, at least where I am. But I'm gonna go to Micro Center. I'm gonna see if 90 series cards from AMD are sitting on shelves or not. But the Nvidia cards, yeah, the prices are better. They are better. They suck on everything. Like again, a 5070 is basically a 4070 Super. And you could have bought that for $600 over a year ago. So, nothing's improved. So these aren't good, but, you know, like a 9070 XT. I mean, look, these are $850. I mean, that's fucking crazy. And technically speaking, a 5070 Ti, which is similar performance to a 9070 XT, you can get one for $913. Which at that point, you know, paying $50, $60 more for the Nvidia card when you're at that high-ass price point, I kind of think most people would spend a little bit more and get it. I'm just saying. Now, this isn't a widespread price. Most of the fucking 5070 Ti's are over $1,000. That's insane. I don't recommend that card, but it's also crazy that there's a $300 gap between a 5070 Ti and a 5070. Wow. But yeah, at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to go out there and still buy NVIDIA graphics cards because this is how it ends up looking. AMD, if they're at MSRP, they're at their real prices, I think is more competitive, but that's just how it looks right now. Let's see if AMD can get their prices down. 9070 XT is over $1,000 in Canada. Wow. AMD drivers are good. I actually think the AMD drivers have been way more reliable than NVIDIA ones, which is something crazy. That's a different thing. So, basically, I want to see if you guys want to see the brief part that Nvidia talked about the 5060. Let's see here. It's crazy. Okay, it's like around here. Alright. This is where they talked about the 5060.
This is real-time computer graphics I'm standing in front of. This is not a video, this is computer graphics. It's generated by GeForce. This is a brand new GeForce 5060, RTX 5060. And this is from Asus. My good friend Johnny is in the front row. And this is from MSI. And we took this incredible GPU and we shrunk it in here. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. They just make it low power. And it's not the same chip.
See? This is incredible.
Yeah, I agree. The 5060 did not render that fucking image, bro.
Incredible. And so this is MSI's new laptop with 5060 in it. GeForce brought CUDA to the world. Right now,
that's all they talk about, the 5060. They don't even show numbers of the 5060.
now what you're seeing is every single pixel is ray traced. How is that possible?
So they're even intentionally doing this too, because the 5060 cannot do this. It can't. I don't know what resolution that image is, but it can't do that. So they're trying to obscure what can the 5060 do by probably rendering this on a 5090 and then putting the 5060 out here like it's like it can do that. Like, come on, guys, come on.
That we're able to simulate photon and deliver this kind of frame rate at this resolution. Well, the reason for that is artificial intelligence. We're only rendering 1 out of 10 pixels. So every pixel that you see, only 1 out of 10 is actually computed. The other 9, AI guessed. Does that make any sense? And it's perfect.
It's perfect.
It's completely perfect. It guessed it perfectly.
Now turn the camera. In the game. Turn on the fucking camera.
Of course, the technology is called DLSS, neural rendering. It took us many, many years to develop. We started developing it the moment we started working on AI, so it's been a 10-year journey. And the advance in computer graphics has been completely revolutionized by AI. GeForce brought AI to the world. Now AI came back and revolutionized GeForce. So really, really amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, GeForce.
So that whole segment, that is the only thing they talked about GeForce on. 4030 is when it ended. And when did it start? Technically started, was it 43 when it ended? So 3820. Okay. Okay. So it's about 2 minutes. And they didn't even mention the specs of the graphics card. They didn't mention the performance of it. They tried to act like a 5060 rendered that. That's clearly what they're implying. He's like, these cards, and then this is a render. He didn't say that it rendered it, definitely implied it. Crazy. Now, what did they talk about for the rest of the presentation? Whatever the fuck that is. Tentacle monster. I don't know what else they talked about. Bro just yapped for 2 hours. No, not 2 hours. An hour and a half, it seems like. Yeah, they just... I don't even think that anything's new. I think we already saw all this stuff at CES. Or something very similar. Yeah. This is bad. So that's what Nvidia thinks about the 5060. They couldn't even dedicate more than 2 minutes for it. Didn't even bother to actually talk about the graphics card. And this is a performance that they say it has. I'm tiny. Ah! But yeah. So this is the performance. There's all these other games are using multi-frame generation, which is bullshit data. And then Resident Evil 4 is the only test that doesn't use multi-frame generation. As you can see, we might get about 20% on it from the 4060, which doesn't look that bad, but the fact that it still has 8 gigabytes of VRAM, and so many games are struggling with 8 gigabytes, yeah, it's not great. So, it does come out. 20% is a best case scenario? Yeah, probably. That's probably why they only showed us in one game. Because it's probably the Resident Evil 4 is probably one of the best titles that it's in. But this comes out today. Obviously, reviews aren't live Nvidia, we just saw Gamers Nexus talk about this too. Hardware Unboxed has talked about it right here. That, hey, they sent some graphics cards to people, and they had people sign an agreement of what they could test. They tried to manipulate the narrative that is going out. Not only that, but the people that actually could review it would be getting wouldn't be getting their drivers to test it until literally the same day the card releases. So they're trying to obscure a bunch of stuff, even though they're going on sale today, and people should be able to know what it performs like. So obviously not great. And all these people here got early access reviews that weren't able to be that critical on it. Even if they wanted to try to be critical on it, they couldn't be. I think you probably shouldn't ever agree to something like this, but again, that's kind of besides the point right now. So that's where we're at. The 5060 is pretty lame. If you beg, they might make a 5050. I think a 5050 is actually coming, which is crazy. They could have added 10 gig. If this was a 10 gigabyte graphics card, that would have been pretty good. Actually, this card here, this is the B570, which is Intel's graphics card. And this guy's only $220 and has 10 gigabytes. So the 5060 is $300 and has 8. 10 gigabytes is more than 8. I know that. Hard math, but maybe AI can figure out that math for us. But I think it's at least better, and it's cheaper. So I'm going to try to get this graphics card. Asus apparently is going to send me one, but I really haven't had that much communication with them about it. I've asked them, and they haven't really told me shit. Nvidia didn't send me one. A lot of the reviewers have been kept in the dark about this, and Nvidia, as we can see especially from Gamers Nexus here,
selling a gaming GPU, it's
how corrupt Nvidia's been lately. Not necessarily corrupt, but how much they've lost the plot in terms of reviews and what people want to see. They're just very anti-consumer at the end of the day now. I'm gonna try to get one at Micro Center, and we'll see from there. Basically, all I know is it is getting late here. It is like 1 o'clock in the morning where I'm at, because they're on Taiwan time, so it's 12 hours behind or ahead of us. Like Steve said, it's never enough for Nvidia. It's true. Again, that's one of my arguments. I was like, it's a public company, so it's like it does encourage them to always do shittier and shittier things to make more money. So I'm gonna ask you guys real quick. RTX 5060. Oops. Just a simple poll. RTX 5060, yes or no? W or L? It's not exciting. Definitely. Wow, overwhelmingly negative. That's rough. It's pretty much like what? As much attention as Nvidia gave it in their presentation. A good 2 minutes. In buying it or not buying it, whatever your opinion is on it, just say yes or no. 5060, yes or no. Doesn't even live up to that. Waste of sand. I wonder if that will be another Steve video, waste of sand. I don't think this one necessarily is a waste of sand. The 5060 Ti 8GB is, I would say. But yeah. Okay. Well, that's about the opinion. I like pancakes. That means you must hate waffles. Of course. Alright. Well, I need to get some rest because Micro Center opens relatively early. I think it's like 10:30. I'm gonna make a trip out there, like the classic drive to Micro Center, buy a graphics card video. So I appreciate anybody who donated to get a 5060. It really just eases the burden for me. It isn't necessary at all. I'm still gonna try to buy one. And if I do get one from Asus, I don't really need 2 of them. So I might see if I can give away a 5060. Even though they're not that great, it's still a graphics card that somebody can make use of. So of course I'll make a video about it. What time is it in your location? It's 1 in the morning right now. It's a decent drive. I'm not close to Micro Center, but like within driving distance, I guess. People with 5060s review on day 1 are bought or paid for by Nvidia. I mean, some people might be getting graphics cards, and nobody who realistically was able to test it has access to it beforehand. So if they have like all their data on day 1, that isn't true. I think honestly you might see reviews tomorrow. So on Tuesday. I think some might hit. I think like Jay's 2 cents, for example, isn't going to Computex, so he might rush one out. And it would be like a rough, it'd be just testing and then getting shit out through the night, basically. So, yeah. That's about where it's at. I wouldn't expect to see any actual independent without Nvidia influence coverage on it, even though we've seen plenty of Nvidia influenced coverage, as you've seen by these. There's even one from Japan, apparently, so Nvidia's broken out. Yeah, this was from... this is a 5060 early coverage on it. So, alright, well, I'm going to I'm going to go ahead and get some rest and go and attempt this. Most others are at Computex, yeah. Nvidia is definitely trying to hide this card because so many people are at Computex. I'm sure that we might end up getting a Steve with Steve video about the 5060. I wouldn't be surprised. So, yeah. Alright, thanks for tuning in, guys. I wish we had more content from Nvidia. They gave us a good 2 minutes. What's this music? I don't even know what this is from. Oh, this is from Baldur's Gate 3, actually. That's what it is. Alright. You guys have a good night, good morning, wherever the fuck you are. And peace.